Group 1, now boarding. The words echo through the jet bridge as Amara Cole steps forward, suitcase rolling quietly behind her. She moves with practiced composure, chin high, eyes soft, every gesture neat and unthreatening. Her boarding pass glows on her phone. Aurora Air Flight 228, Seat 1A. Inside the first-class cabin, everything gleams. Linen napkins folded like origami, glassware catching the early light, passengers exhaling privilege. Amara smiles faintly to no one, slides into her seat, and places her backpack beneath her feet. Her headphones rest on her lap, unopened, like a secret she hasn't decided to share. The flight attendant, Sloan Archer, glides down the aisle. Tall, elegant, uniform, flawless. Smile mechanical. Her eyes skim Amara, pause, then move on, the way one might glance at something out of place but not yet say it aloud. "Can I get you something to drink?" Sloan asks the man in 1C, pouring sparkling water with practiced charm. When she turns to Amara, the warmth cools by a few degrees. "Just water, please," Amara says. "Of course." Sloan returns a moment later, placing the glass carefully on the armrest. "May I see your boarding pass again?" Amara blinks. "Sure." She hands over her phone. Sloan tilts it toward the cabin light, the platinum frame of the QR code reflecting in her polished nails. A pause. Then a smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "All good," she says, returning the phone. Amara looks out the window. The tarmac glows with morning sun, ground crew moving with quiet rhythm. Her father's voice drifts from memory. "Trust the checklists. Calm keeps people safe." She steadies her breathing. Calm isn't silence, it's control. As passengers settle, Sloan moves with purpose that feels rehearsed but watchful. She adjusts a pillow here, smooths a blanket there, yet her gaze keeps returning to 1A, as if waiting for a flaw to confirm itself. A few rows back, the curtain sways as economy fills. Overhead bins shut like punctuation marks. The cabin quiets into an expensive hush. Sloan checks her manifest again, lips pressing thin. Something doesn't match. She approaches once more, voice dipped in politeness. "Miss, I just need to verify something with your booking. Our system didn't register your scan at the gate. It happens sometimes." Amara nods slowly. "Okay." Sloan lifts her radio, murmuring codes in the soft language of authority. The gate agent's response crackles indistinctly. Amara catches fragments. "Passenger cross-check. First-class seat assignment." Passengers pretend not to listen. The man in 1C adjusts his tie. A woman in pearls watches, faintly entertained. The pressure in the air changes, subtle but real. The kind that makes you hyper-aware of posture, voice, skin. Sloan smiles again, too sweet now. "I'm sure it's just a mix-up. Could I see that pass one more time?" Amara hands her the phone. Sloan scans. It at the galley reader. Beep. A green bar flashes. Her jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. Still, she keeps the performance alive. "Thank you, Miss Cole." She hesitates on the name, like she's trying it on for truth. "I'll have the gate double-check." When Sloan turns away, Amara exhales carefully. She senses the narrative forming around her, one she didn't write but will be forced to live in. The hum of the engines deepens. The captain's voice comes on, cheerful and distant. "We're number 3 for takeoff, folks. Smooth ride today." The curtain to economy closes. Sloan lingers by the galley, speaking softly into her radio. A phrase, "possible error in manifest," floats faintly. She looks toward 1A, eyes narrow with concern that masks suspicion. Amara straightens, folds her hands. Around her, the luxury feels heavier. Linen, glass, silence. Each sound seems amplified. The click of a seatbelt, the tap of heels on the aisle, the muted sigh of someone watching without intervening. Her phone screen dims. For a heartbeat, her reflection stares back. Young, poised, already tired of explaining herself. Sloan returns, smile smaller now. "Miss Cole, I appreciate your patience. Our gate team will come aboard for a quick verification before we push back. Should only take a moment." A murmur runs through the cabin. Verification lands like an accusation in polite rapping. Amara nods once, her voice steady. "Okay." The jet bridge light flickers outside. A faint metallic knock sounds at the forward door. Sloane turns toward it, headset pressed to one ear. Amara watches her lips move around a few clipped words she can't hear. Inside 1A, time feels suspended. The cabin hums, the engine's idle, and Amara sits perfectly still, neither shrinking nor rising, just holding her place. Her father's words echo again. "If someone skips a line, speak clearly." She breathes once more, slow and even, not knowing that the next voice to cross that doorway will change the altitude of everyone in that cabin. The door seals with a hollow click. Passengers exhale, settling in. The soft hum of the air conditioning blends with the pre-flight chime as Sloane Archer begins her final cabin sweep, tablet in hand, smile rehearsed. Everything in first class gleams, silverware aligned, curtains perfectly folded, except the unease still flickering behind her eyes. In seat 1A, Amara Cole adjusts her sweater sleeve and opens her novel, pretending to read. Her reflection in the window shimmers against the tarmac glare. She feels Sloane's glance brush her again, light but sharp as a paper cut. From the cockpit, the captain's voice comes over the PA, friendly and distant. "Good morning, folks. Flight 228 non-stop to New York. Weather looks fine up there. Maybe a few bumps over Virginia. We'll push back shortly." Seatbelts click, champagne corks sigh. But Sloane lingers by the galley phone, murmuring something to the gate agent. The phrases drift through the hush. First class manifest, cross-verify, potential misscan. Her tone sounds concerned, but the way she glances toward 1A tells another story. Amara senses it, that strange pressure when politeness becomes surveillance. She's felt it before, in department stores, hotel lobbies, classrooms, the moment when curiosity curdles into question. She focuses on the page but hears every whisper. A man in 1C clears his throat. "Excuse me," he says to Sloane. "Are we still waiting on someone?" "Just confirming a detail, sir," Sloane replies quickly. "Nothing to worry about. She means for everyone to hear." Amara closes her book. "Is there a problem with my ticket?" she asks quietly. Sloane's smile lifts like a curtain hiding the scene behind it. "Oh no, Miss Cole, just a routine check. Our system glitched earlier. I'm sure it's fine." But she doesn't move on. She studies Amara, the youth, the calm, the small backpack with a university pin clipped to it. Not the kind of traveler Sloane expects to find in the airline's signature seat. Her training tells her to trust instinct. Her prejudice whispers that instinct is always right. "Do you have your ID handy?" Sloane asks. Amara blinks, uncertain. "I already scanned it at check-in." "I know, dear. Just standard protocol." Amara hands it over. Sloane glances at the name, then at the tablet manifest again. She's fishing for something. A mismatch, a missing note, a reason that explains her discomfort. The tablet screen refreshes. The data aligns perfectly. Still, her doubt lingers like static. "Thank you," Sloane says, returning the card. "We'll sort it out in a moment." As she turns away, Amara feels the weight of the cabin's silence press down. She imagines each passenger inventing their own version of the story. The polite girl in 1A, the attendant confirming something. It doesn't take much for imagination to become verdict. The plane begins its slow push from the gate. Sunlight slices through the window and pools across Amara's knees. She presses her palms together, steadying herself. Breathe. Keep still. No scene. Sloane leans toward another attendant in the forward galley, whispering too close to be coincidence. The other woman's brow furrows, her glance darting briefly to Amara. Sloane nods once, decisive. Over the interphone, she calls down to operations. "This is Archer in cabin 1. Please advise. Seat 1A verification still pending. A faint voice replies through static. She listens, face unreadable. Amara tries to focus on the safety card. The cheerful diagrams of oxygen masks and life vests look absurd against the tension coiling in her chest. Her phone sits dim on the armrest, flight mode ready but unswitched. She wants to text her father. Everything's fine. But the moment she types it, it won't be. Miss Cole. Sloan is back. Tablet pressed to her chest. The gate is rechecking your record. They might need a quick visual confirmation before we take off. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Inconvenience. Amara repeats softly. Do I need to move? Oh no, just stay seated. Her tone is sugar over steel. The man in 1C clears his throat again. Someone behind him murmurs, always something. The words land like a pebble in a still pond. Sloan steps into the galley once more, voice low. If it doesn't clear in 2 minutes, call security for assist. Amara catches only fragments. Security and assist are enough. Her pulse hammers. She sets her water down before her hands betray the tremor. The engines start their growl, a vibration underfoot. The captain pauses takeoff clearance, a delay for paperwork. The phrase ripples through the cabin. Amara looks out the window. The world outside seems unnaturally still. Workers frozen mid-motion, the bright cones of morning sunlight glaring against the wing. Inside, every sound sharpens. The hum of vents, the click of Sloan's heels, the metallic sigh of the interphone being set down. Sloan returns one last time, smile stretched tight. We'll need just another minute, Miss Cole. The gate is sending someone down the jet bridge. Amara meets her gaze, steady, polite, unflinching. All right, she says. Her voice doesn't shake. For the first time, Sloan falters. There's something about that composure, that calm refusal to play the part written for her. She opens her mouth, then thinks better of it, stepping away toward the forward door. The light on the interphone blinks. Sloan answers. Her expression changes. Relief, maybe triumph. Copy that, she says softly. She looks back at 1A, posture rigid, voice sweetened for the cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. We'll have a brief verification before departure. A quiet gasp, a rustle of curiosity. Amara sits motionless, her heartbeat sinking with the slow thrum of the engines. The next moment will decide whether this day becomes a story her father never hears, or the kind the world remembers. The aircraft eases off the gate, engines murmuring like caged thunder. Overhead, bins latch shut with a chorus of clicks. Amara Cole sits still in seat 1A, spine straight, eyes on the window. Her reflection wavers against the blue dawn, half light, half memory. Across the aisle, Sloan Archer secures the galley cart, her movements taut and precise. She glances toward 1A again, unable to let it go. Every safety check completed, every buckle tested. Still, her attention drifts to the girl who does not fit the mental image stitched into her years of service. Cabin secure, Sloan calls, sliding into her jump seat. The other attendant nods. The plane turns toward the runway. Amara breathes through the tension pressing behind her ribs. She whispers a verse her father once said before takeoff. Fear not, for I am with you. The words land like small anchors in turbulent air. The jet surges forward, tires howling against asphalt, then lifts. Weight slides away, replaced by that strange suspension between gravity and faith. Clouds swallow the windows in streaks of white. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached 10,000 feet. The captain's calm voice filters through the intercom. Seatbelt sign is off. Enjoy your flight. Sloan unclips, smooths her uniform, and faces the aisle. To everyone else, she's the picture of hospitality. To Amara, she's a shadow of unfinished suspicion. Miss Cole, Sloan begins, voice pitched to carry only slightly. I'm afraid your boarding record still hasn't updated properly. I'll need to confirm your ticket number once more. Amara looks up. I showed you the code twice. Yes, I know. Sloan's smile doesn't change, but her tone tightens. Our system occasionally misreads screenshots. Could you open your confirmation email, please? Around them, conversation hushes. The man in 1C lowers his magazine. The woman in pearls straightens to watch. Amara feels their eyes before she sees them. She scrolls her phone, hands steady, though heat rises behind her throat. Sloane leans closer, inspecting the screen as though studying counterfeit bills. She taps her radio. Operations, this is Archer in cabin 1. Can you reconfirm passenger Cole, 1A? The static reply crackles through. No record under that name. Recheck passenger database. Sloane's lips press thin. The words feel like permission. She squares her shoulders. Miss Cole, I'll need you to step into the galley while we sort this out. Amara's heart stops for half a beat. Excuse me? It'll only take a moment, Sloane says, loud enough for row 2 to hear. There seems to be an issue with your ticket. The silence thickens. Someone mutters, First class, huh? A phone camera blinks on somewhere behind her. Amara keeps her voice even. Ma'am, I paid for my ticket. Please check again. Sloane's veneer of patience cracks just enough to show the steel beneath. Miss Cole, if you refuse to comply, I'll have to involve the captain. A muscle in Amara's jaw twitches. Every survival lesson her father ever gave her flashes through her mind. Stay calm. Use words, not volume. The world's watching, even when it shouldn't be. She rises slowly. I'm not refusing. I'm just asking why. Because your name isn't matching our manifest, Sloane snaps, then catches herself, smoothing her voice back into silk. Please, this way. The passengers shift, pretending not to stare. The man in 1C leans away, creating a space that feels colder than rejection. The woman in pearls whispers, probably a mix-up, but her tone carries disbelief. Amara steps into the galley. The narrow space smells of coffee and metal polish. Sloane folds her arms, tablet, glowing between them. Who purchased this ticket for you? I did, Amara answers. And how? Online, with my account. Sloane tilts her head, condescending smile intact. That's interesting, because this fare is linked to an executive tier. We don't usually see independent travelers listed there. Amara blinks. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything, Sloane replies, though the implication hangs like smoke. Just verifying authenticity. You understand? The radio on Sloane's hip crackles again. Cabin 1, security clearance requested. Stand by for remote verification. Amara's breath catches. Security? It's standard when passenger data conflicts. Sloane's smile brightens artificially. I'm sure they'll clear it up. But her tone isn't reassurance, it's satisfaction. From the cabin, curious faces lean subtly toward the aisle. The curtain might as well be glass. Amara senses the judgment assembling. Quiet, polite, absolute. She forces a calm inhale. You're calling security for a boarding error? For an identity concern, Sloane corrects gently. Amara's pulse thrums. She pictures her father's calm authority, the way he once told her, dignity isn't what they give you. It's what you refuse to lose. She squares her shoulders. Then I'll wait right here. Sloane hesitates. The defiance unsettles her. She masks it by lifting the handset. Captain, this is Archer. We'll need to return to gate for passenger verification. The cabin stirs in confusion. Returning to the gate means delay, paperwork, questions. Understood, comes the pilot's weary reply. Sloane lowers the phone, glances at Amara as if she's the storm cloud blocking an otherwise pleasant sky. You could have saved yourself the trouble, she murmurs. Amara doesn't answer. She turns her gaze to the bulkhead window where the clouds outside stretch endless and indifferent. Her throat burns, but she keeps her spine straight. A voice from the interphone interrupts. The gate supervisors. Hold return. Executive personnel en route to cabin. Do not deplane. Sloane blinks. Executive personnel? The supervisor repeats, firmer, affirmative, executive arrival at jet bridge in 1 minute. Sloane freezes, fingers still on the handset. The words slice through her composure. In that suspended moment, the air in first class changes. The passengers sense it too, the sudden charged stillness before thunder. Amara doesn't know who's coming, only that the sound of footsteps on the jet bridge will soon fill this silence. She closes her eyes, breathes once, and prepares to meet whatever truth steps through that door. The plane levels off at 30,000 feet, but inside the cabin, gravity seems broken. The air carries the taste of tension, recycled, heavy, waiting for something to fall. Amara Cole sits in the narrow, galley seat at the front of first class. The hum of the engines muffles beneath the pounding in her ears. Through the half-open curtain, she can still see the curious faces of passengers pretending not to stare. Their silence feels louder than judgment. It feels like agreement. Across from her, Sloane Archer stands rigid by the interphone, her uniform as precise as her unease. Her voice, measured and cold, cuts through the hum. "Captain, I've requested ground verification. Passenger in 1A remains non-compliant." "Understood," the captain replies, tone cautious. "Let's stay calm up there." Sloane presses the radio again. "Security will be meeting us at the gate." She exhales, chin high, certain she's done her duty. To her, this is about procedure, order, accuracy, protecting the brand's pristine image. To Amara, it's about being unseen in the wrong way. The young girl sits perfectly still, back straight, hands folded over her knees. Don't shake, don't cry. Every movement could be misread. She focuses on the hum of the engines, counting their rhythm like heartbeats. Sloane walks back into the cabin, performing control. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We're resolving a minor discrepancy. Nothing to worry about." Her voice is syrupy smooth, rehearsed, but her eyes keep flicking toward 1A, as though she can't rest until the story she's written in her mind is confirmed. Amara's voice, calm but tight, breaks the performance. "Ms. Archer?" Sloane turns. "Yes, Miss Cole? Did you have to call security for this?" The attendant's smile tightens. "It's not personal. We just need to verify your identity properly. Once that's done, you'll be free to relax." "I was relaxed," Amara says quietly, before everyone started staring. Sloane's lips part, but she has no answer. She looks away, busying herself with nothing. The man in 1C leans back, folding his arms. The woman in pearls glances at Amara, then at Sloane, confusion and discomfort flickering across her face. Still, no one speaks. Minutes stretch like hours. Amara feels the humiliation simmer beneath her ribs. Hot, quiet, relentless. She looks at the boarding stub on her phone, still glowing with the platinum code that began this nightmare. Every proof she offers only deepens the disbelief. Sloane's radio crackles again. "Cabin 1, ops here. Passenger Cole not found in standard manifest. However, system flags an encrypted tier. Please hold." "Encrypted tier?" Sloane repeats. "What does that mean?" "Special level access," the voice replies. "Likely corporate or executive override." Sloane frowns. "We don't have any executives on this route." "Hold anyway," comes the reply, curt and final. Sloane lowers the handset, mind racing. Her authority, once sharp, absolute, now wavers. She checks the passenger list again, scrolling through lines of data that tell her nothing. Amara studies her quietly, sensing the uncertainty. "Maybe your system is just missing something." Sloane turns back, defensive. Or maybe someone used someone else's ticket. The accusation lands heavier than intended. A few passengers inhale audibly. Amara's voice softens, almost a whisper. "You really think I don't belong here, don't you?" Sloane's throat tightens. "That's not what I said, but it's what you meant." The silence between them expands like a wound. Then the intercom chimes again, this time from ground control. "Aurora ops to flight 228. Hold return to gate. Company security and executive personnel en route to jet bridge. Do not deplane. The words freeze Sloane mid-breath. Executive personnel? She repeats. The captain's voice filters through the interphone. You heard that right, Archer. Someone from HQ's already on the bridge. Sit tight. Sloane's pulse quickens. She straightens her uniform, trying to mask the tremor in her fingers. Understood, she says stiffly. Amara looks up. Is someone coming to talk to me? Sloane forces a smile. Apparently so. Inside, her stomach knots. Executives don't intervene mid-flight unless something serious. And in all her years of service, no one from headquarters has ever boarded between gates. The seatbelt sign dings back on. Passengers exchange glances, confused. The man in 1C mutters, "What's going on?" under his breath. Sloane lifts her hand, rehearsing composure. Just standard protocol, sir. But her tone betrays her. Even she doesn't believe it anymore. The cabin door clicks, metal against metal. The handle turns. The jet bridge groans as pressure equalizes and the faint rush of airport air spills into the cabin. Sloane steps toward the door, forcing professionalism back into her limbs. Her heart thunders. Be calm, smile, stay in control. Then she hears the footsteps, slow, deliberate, echoing closer. The first officer opens the door, greeting someone unseen. His voice drops to reverent surprise. Mr. Cole? Sloane's stomach sinks. The name hits her like turbulence. When the figure steps through, everything slows. The man's presence commands the space before he even speaks. Tall, composed, voice deep with quiet authority. His ID badge flashes the Aurora Air insignia. What seems to be the issue with my daughter's boarding pass? Elias Cole asks evenly. The world stops moving. The officers straighten instinctively. The passengers go utterly silent. The only sound is the faint hiss of the cabin's recycled air. Amara blinks, stunned, half relief, half disbelief. Dad? Elias nods once, his gaze never leaving Sloane. You called security on my child? Sloane opens her mouth, words fumbling like loose cards. Sir, I didn't know. There was a manifest error. Elias's tone doesn't rise, but the weight in it is undeniable. You didn't know, but you assumed. Sloane's composure crumbles. Her eyes drop, the corners of her perfect smile unraveling. Mr. Cole, I was only following. Procedure? He finishes for her. Then let's discuss what your procedure costs us in dignity. Behind him, the gate supervisor shifts awkwardly, tablet trembling in his hand. Sir, it's confirmed. The code's valid. Executive-linked priority tier, encrypted under your key. Elias turns back to his daughter. His voice softens instantly. Are you all right, sweetheart? Amara nods, breath shaky. I'm okay now. He touches her shoulder lightly, then looks around the cabin, at the witnesses, at the silence they all allowed. Then let's make sure this never happens again, he says. The words settle like law. And for the first time since the plane left the ground, Amara feels the air clear. The hum of the engines fades beneath a silence so complete it feels pressurized. Every eye in first class turns toward the man standing in the doorway, Elias Cole, CEO of Aurora Air, a calm storm wrapped in a tailored suit. He steps into the cabin, unhurried. His voice carries the weight of authority that doesn't need volume. What seems to be the issue with my daughter's boarding pass? Sloane Archer stiffens beside the galley. Her hand twitches toward her radio but stops midway. The gate supervisor clears his throat. Mr. Cole, sir, there was a mismatch in the manifest. We were just... Elias doesn't even look at him. His gaze settles on Sloane, steady and surgical. Did you personally verify the discrepancy before calling security on a passenger? Sloane opens her mouth, but no sound comes. The officer beside her shifts awkwardly, stepping back. I followed procedure, Sloane says finally, voice small. There was an error. Her ticket didn't appear. Elias tilts his head slightly. 3 scans, I believe. She blinks. Yes, sir, but none. They were all valid, he interrupts quietly. Encrypted under my executive key. I designed that system myself. The words hang in the air like a dropped gavel. Sloane's face drains of color. Around them, passengers murmur, soft, embarrassed. The man in 1C lowers his eyes. The woman in pearls looks away entirely. Elias takes a slow step closer to his daughter. You okay, sweetheart? Amara nods, voice barely above a whisper. I'm fine, Dad. He glances at her hands, trembling slightly, and then at Sloane. She's fine now, he says, but she shouldn't have had to be brave on her own. The statement cuts deeper than any reprimand. Sloane's lips part, but nothing emerges. Elias turns to the captain who stepped into the aisle. Captain, log this under red protocol. Bias incident cabin 1. Suspend immediate crew rotation pending review. Yes, sir, the captain replies quietly. The security officers exchange. Looks, realizing the power dynamic has completely shifted. Mr. Cole, should we... You may return to your post, Elias says calmly. This situation no longer requires your involvement. They nod and retreat down the jet bridge, silent. Sloane stands rooted, her radio still clutched in her hand. Sir? I never meant... He lifts a hand gently, stopping her. I'm not here for apologies. I'm here for accountability. You made an assumption. You acted on it. And in this cabin, assumption can cost someone their dignity. Or worse. His voice doesn't rise, but the entire plane seems to shrink under it. The words are measured, deliberate, almost merciful in their control. I will ensure the review is fair, Elias continues. But fairness begins with truth. Please hand your radio to the captain. Sloane hesitates, then obeys. Her polished nails tremble as she unclips the device. Yes, sir. Thank you, Elias says, and there's a quiet finality in the courtesy. You'll be placed on ground assignment until the internal audit is complete. She nods, eyes glistening, unable to speak. Elias turns back to Amara. Sit down, sweetheart. He takes the seat beside her, 1B, empty until now. The small space between them fills with something wordless. Protection, apology, pride. Amara exhales. I didn't want to bother you. You didn't, he says. You reminded me why I built this airline. To make sure people are treated with respect at 30,000 feet, not suspicion. The captain clears his throat gently. We're ready for pushback, sir. Elias nods. Good. Let's fly home. The crew disperses quietly. Sloane steps aside, tears catching the cabin light. For the first time, she looks at Amara not as a passenger, but as a person. I'm truly sorry, she whispers. Amara meets her gaze. I know. The engines spool back to life. The cabin lights soften. The plane moves again, slowly, like something exhaling after being held too long. As the city lights begin to rise below, Elias leans back, hands folded over his lap. You handled yourself with grace, he says. Amara looks out the window. I just wanted to stay calm. He smiles faintly. Calm is power most people never learn. A pause, then quietly, you sound like Mom when you say that. The clouds outside drift apart, revealing streaks of gold. Father and daughter sit side by side in silence, the hum of engines now more soothing than sound. Across the cabin, passengers avert their eyes, not out of discomfort but respect. Everyone understands what they've witnessed. Quiet power dismantling loud prejudice without a single shout. Sloane remains by the galley, shoulders bowed. Amara watches her for a moment, then turns away, not to forget, but to move forward. For the first time all flight, the cabin feels weightless in the right way. The aircraft climbs again, steady and quiet, as if the air itself wants to start over. The humiliation is drained from the cabin, replaced by the hush that follows truth spoken out loud. Elias Cole sits in 1B, his jacket folded neatly on his lap. Across the aisle, passengers still avoid looking directly at him, unsure if they've witnessed discipline or deliverance. Sloane Archer remains in the galley, face pale, headset silent. Her uniform still immaculate, but her confidence creased. She stares down at the silver coffee pot in her hands, seeing her reflection warp and blur. Elias leans toward the captain. "I'll need full documentation of the incident when we land. Time codes, comm logs, and the red protocol report. Send it directly to headquarters." "Yes, sir." The captain's tone carries both respect and regret. Elias turns to the cabin, speaking not to the crew, but to everyone. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the delay and the disturbance you witnessed earlier. Aurora Air was founded on service, not suspicion. You deserved better today." A murmur ripples through first class, some nods, some awkward glances. The woman in pearls lowers her eyes, embarrassed at her earlier silence. The man in 1C clears his throat as if to say something, then simply murmurs, "Thank you." Elias's calm fills the space like oxygen. "Our company maintains a strict dignity and bias policy," he continues evenly. "Any behavior that contradicts it triggers immediate review. That begins now." He gestures toward Sloane. "Ms. Archer, please step forward." Sloane hesitates, then approaches. Her posture remains crisp, but her eyes betray the tremor beneath. "Yes, sir." "Do you understand why this incident qualifies for red protocol?" Her voice falters. "Because I misjudged a passenger." "Not just a passenger," Elias says softly. "A person. One who followed every instruction, who carried herself with respect, and was met with suspicion instead of service." The cabin is silent. Even the hum of the engines feels subdued, listening. Sloane nods, blinking rapidly. "I realize that now, sir. I let bias guide my instinct." "Recognition is the first correction," he replies. "Accountability is the second." He takes a slim folder from his briefcase, slides it toward the captain. "Effective immediately. Ms. Archer is relieved of in-flight duty pending review. She'll participate in the company's bias retraining and recertification process before resuming service." Sloane lowers her head. "Understood." Elias softens his tone. "This is not punishment. It's repair. The uniform you wear represents trust. That trust must never narrow by color, class, or assumption." She nods, whispering, "Yes, sir." He gestures toward the remaining crew. "Please document this handover and notify operations." The attendants move quietly, professionalism tinged with humility. One collects Sloane's ID badge. Another notes the log time. There is no spectacle, just process, done right this time. Amara watches silently from her seat. She feels no triumph, no vengeance, only the deep exhale of justice handled with grace. Her father glances at her, reads the quiet in her expression, and smiles faintly. When Sloane finishes signing the digital report, Elias extends a hand. "Thank you for cooperating. I expect you'll return stronger from this." For a second, Sloane seems unsure how to respond. Then she takes his hand. "I will, sir." He nods once, the gesture simple but redemptive. The captain announces over the PA, "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be landing shortly. We thank you for your patience." As the aircraft begins its descent, the cabin feels different. Lighter, not because of altitude, but because truth has weight, and releasing it makes room to breathe again. Elias opens his laptop, sending a brief message to headquarters. The email subject reads, "Immediate implementation, customer dignity audit." He glances sideways at Amara. "You sure you're all right?" "I am," she says quietly. "I just wish it hadn't taken a title to be believed." Elias's eyes soften. "Sometimes power isn't about who shouts loudest. It's about who listens when others won't." She nods. Outside the window, the skyline of New York appears through broken clouds, sunlight slicing between the buildings like grace through glass. Across the aisle, the woman in pearls leans forward, hesitant. Miss Cole, I'm so sorry I didn't say something earlier. Amara turns to her, calm and composed. You see it now. That's what matters. The woman smiles weakly, eyes glistening. You carry yourself like your father. Elias chuckles softly. That's the highest compliment you could give me. The intercom dings. Flight attendants, prepare for landing. Sloane remains seated in the jump seat, staring out the window. Her reflection meets Amara's across the aisle. Two women separated by age, experience, and one painful lesson. Amara gives a small, almost imperceptible nod. Forgiveness doesn't need to be spoken to be real. The wheels touch down, the soft jolt grounding every heart in the cabin. Applause breaks out from a few passengers, half relief, half respect. Elias stands, adjusting his tie. Stay seated, everyone, he says gently. Let's let the crew deplane first. As Sloane unbuckles, she hesitates, then looks to Amara. Thank you for your composure. Amara offers a calm smile. I hope the next girl in 1A doesn't have to earn it. Sloane nods, throat tight. She won't. The door opens, daylight streaming through the jet bridge. For the first time that day, the air feels clear, real, breathable. Elias places a hand on his daughter's shoulder. Come on, sweetheart, let's go home. Amara takes one last glance at the cabin. Rows of quiet faces, humbled hearts, and one empty jump seat that will never be occupied the same way again. The uniforms remain, but now so does justice. The cabin lights dim to a soft amber as the aircraft taxis toward its gate. Passengers unbuckle slowly, murmuring thanks to the crew, though no one dares rush ahead. The storm has passed, but the air still holds its echo, the sound of power, dignity, and quiet truth spoken aloud. Elias Cole remains seated in row 1, his hand resting gently on his daughter's arm. Amara gazes at the fading skyline beyond the window, New York glimmering like a city newly washed clean. The hum of the engines has become a low lullaby. You handled that beautifully, Elias says finally. His tone is low, proud, but weary. Amara smiles faintly. It didn't feel beautiful. It was, he replies. Grace always is. It's not loud, but it leaves an imprint. She exhales, rubbing her thumb over the condensation on the glass. I wasn't brave. I just didn't want to make it worse. That's what strength looks like when the world confuses it with silence, Elias says. He leans back, watching her. I know what it feels like, to sit in a room full of people and still be on trial. Amara studies him. You've been through this too? Elias chuckles softly. Once, early in my career, I walked into a boardroom I'd just been promoted to lead, and someone asked if I was there to fix the projector. I didn't answer. I just started the meeting. By the end, they knew who I was. The corners of Amara's lips curve upward. You didn't tell me that one. I didn't think you'd need it this soon, he admits, voice quieter now. But I'm proud of how you carried yourself. You didn't let anyone write your story for you. She nods, but the words stir something deeper. It's just unfair, Dad, that someone like her could decide who I am with one look. Elias follows her gaze toward the galley, where Sloane Archer sits on the jump seat, silent. It is unfair, he says, but that's why how we respond matters. You can't choose their prejudice, but you can choose your posture. Amara tilts her head, remembering. Mom used to say that too. Elias's eyes soften at the memory. Your mother believed dignity was a language. You don't shout it, you live it. The engines wind down as the jet bridge locks into place. A chime sounds overhead. Welcome to New York, the captain announces. Please remain seated until the seatbelt sign is off. Amara glances at her father. Do you ever get tired of proving it over and over? He sighs, then smiles. Every day. But then I see people like you, young, brilliant, unbroken, and I remember why we keep showing up. She leans her head against the seat, her voice barely a whisper. You shouldn't have to be here for them to see me. Elias nods slowly. One day, you'll walk onto a plane, into a boardroom, anywhere, and no one will question your place. Until then, every calm breath you take is part of the work. The seatbelt sign dings off. Passengers begin to stir. The man in 1C hesitates, then turns toward Amara. Miss Cole, I just want to say, I'm sorry for how I reacted earlier. I should have spoken up. Amara meets his eyes gently. Thank you for saying that. He nods, embarrassed, and collects his briefcase. The woman in pearls offers a timid smile before deplaning, whispering, You handled it better than any of us could have. As the line moves past, Amara glances back to Sloane, who's still seated, hands clasped tightly. She looks smaller now, not in stature, but in certainty. When the last passenger exits, Sloane stands, smoothing her uniform. Miss Cole, she says quietly, I wanted to apologize again. I've replayed every second of it in my head. Amara studies her face, not with resentment, but reflection. You can't change what happened, but maybe you can change what comes next. Sloane nods, eyes glassy. I will. For a long moment, neither woman speaks. Then Amara extends her hand. Sloane hesitates before shaking it, relief and remorse crossing her features. Elias watches the exchange, pride flickering behind his calm expression. Let's go, sweetheart, he says gently. They step into the jet bridge together. The hum of the engines fades behind them, replaced by the faint beeping of airport carts and the murmur of terminal life. The fluorescent lights wash over their faces, father and daughter walking in step, both bearing the same quiet dignity that no uniform or position could define. Halfway down the bridge, Amara stops. Dad? Yes? Do you ever wish you'd shouted? Just once? He smiles, thoughtful. Sometimes, but shouting changes ears. Grace changes hearts. She absorbs the words, then nods. Grace it is. He places an arm around her shoulders. You've already mastered it. As they emerge into the terminal, travelers stream past. Strangers, unaware of what just unfolded 30,000 feet above. Yet something in Amara's stride has changed. There's weight, yes, but also light. The quiet confidence of someone who's seen justice carried out without vengeance. A journalist's flash goes off near the gate, capturing a candid frame. The CEO of Aurora Air walking beside his daughter. Both poised, both calm. It will make the news later, framed as integrity in the sky. But in this moment, it's simpler. Just a father and daughter walking home, carrying the soundless victory of being seen and the promise that next time, silence won't be mistaken for permission. The engines sigh to silence. The door opens with a pressurized hiss, letting in a gust of cool terminal air. A voice over the PA murmurs the standard farewell, thank you for flying Aurora Air, but nothing about this moment feels standard. The last few passengers shuffle off in quiet reverence, whispering as if leaving a chapel. Amara Cole waits until the aisle clears. She sits in 1A, fingers loosely around her phone, watching sunlight slide across the carpeted floor. The once glittering luxury of first class now looks almost fragile, linen wrinkled, glassware smudged by human hands. The aftertaste of everything that happened still lingers, heavy and holy. Her father, Elias Cole, stands beside her, coat folded over one arm, expression unreadable. For him, power is not armor, but stewardship. He carries it with measured care. Ready, sweetheart? He asks softly. Almost. He studies her face. You're thinking about her. Amara nods. At the front of the cabin, Sloane Archer stands near the galley, waiting for debrief. Her posture is immaculate again, but her eyes look hollow, like someone seeing themselves from the outside for the first time. She looks different, Amara murmurs. She's been changed by consequence, Elias says. That's what truth does. It leaves marks you can't polish away. Amara rises, slipping her phone into her pocket. I'm not angry at her anymore. Good, Elias replies. Anger burns fast. Grace lasts longer. They walk toward the exit. Sloane steps forward, uncertain, hands clasped. Miss Cole, she says quietly, voice stripped of all the performance it once carried. I know an apology doesn't erase anything, but I am sorry, truly. Amara meets her gaze. For a heartbeat, the silence between them feels endless, one filled with all the unsaid things that have defined their morning. Then Amara nods. I accept your apology. Sloane blinks, as if forgiveness is something she's forgotten the language for. Thank you, she whispers. Amara reaches into her seat pocket, pulling out the folded paper cup she'd used earlier. She places her boarding stub inside, seat 1A, and sets it on the counter near the coffee carafe. Someone will find it, she says softly. Maybe it'll remind them what this seat should stand for. Elias watches, understanding the gesture without words. As they step into the jet bridge, the temperature shifts, warm cabin air giving way to the cooler breeze of the terminal. Reporters are waiting beyond security glass, their cameras ready. But none of that matters yet. Between father and daughter, the world feels smaller, quieter, at peace. Elias speaks first. You know, when I started this airline, people told me dignity couldn't be part of the business model. They said passengers buy speed, not respect. And you proved them wrong, Amara says. He smiles faintly. Not always, but every now and then, life gives you a chance to remind the world what we stand for. You did that today. I just sat there, she replies. Exactly, he says. Sometimes sitting still is the loudest protest. They reach the gate. Ground staff stand at attention. A few nod respectfully as Elias passes, but his focus stays on Amara. He gestures for her to walk ahead. You first, he says. You've earned it. As she steps into the terminal, sunlight floods through the tall glass windows, painting her silhouette in gold. A few passengers from the flight pause to watch her, some ashamed, some inspired. None speak, but their eyes follow her like contrails across sky. A small boy clutching a toy airplane tugs his mother's sleeve. Mom, that's the girl from the plane. The mother smiles gently. Yes, sweetheart, she's brave. Amara kneels beside the boy. Do you like planes? He nods eagerly. I want to fly one someday. You will, she says. Just remember, every seat matters, even the one that's hardest to earn. He grins. Promise? Promise. She stands, turning back toward the jet bridge where Sloane is still visible through the window, speaking quietly with another crew member. Their eyes meet once more, a silent closing of the loop. Not equals in position, but equals in humanity. Elias places a hand on his daughter's shoulder. Let's go home. They walk down the concourse together, side by side, the hum of announcements echoing above. Now boarding Group 1. The same words that began this story, now stripped of irony, filled instead with grace. Amara glances at the giant Aurora Air poster hanging by the gate. Beneath the logo, the company slogan reads, We rise by lifting others. She smiles faintly. Maybe they should mean that literally, she says. Elias chuckles. Maybe they finally will. As they disappear into the terminal crowd, the cup with the stub remains behind in the cabin, catching a beam of sunlight through the window. Seat 1A, no longer a symbol of privilege, but of courage, quietly kept. Dignity doesn't need an announcement. It simply stands when others sit down. In a world where assumptions travel faster than truth, Amara Cole chose grace over fury, and that choice changed everything around her. When her father stepped through that doorway, justice wasn't served by anger or revenge. It arrived clothed in calm authority and love. Together, They reminded everyone watching that power without compassion is just noise, and silence, when held with strength, can move mountains. For every person who has been misjudged, silenced, or overlooked, remember this: your worth doesn't shrink to fit someone's prejudice. Let your composure speak where words can't. Let grace become your rebellion. Because sometimes the most radical thing a soul can do is stay kind in an unkind room. Have you ever faced a moment where staying calm changed everything? Share your story below. I'm reading everyone. Quiet power builds bridges louder than outrage ever could. This story isn't just about an airline. It's about every place where we're told we don't belong, and every moment we prove that we always did.